My 5 most ridiculous dates. And the one that changed everything. I never thought my dating life would become content for the internet, but here we are. After sharing snippets of my romantic disasters at a friend's dinner party, everyone insisted I needed to document these experiences somewhere. So Reddit, buckle up. I'm about to take you through the 5 most absurd dates I've ever been on, and the unexpected twists that somehow made it all worth it. The setup. Let me introduce myself. I'm Zoe, 29, working in digital marketing in Chicago. I'm reasonably attractive, reasonably successful, and unreasonably unlucky in love. After ending a 5-year relationship with my college sweetheart, classic story, we grew apart. He wanted to move to Portland to find himself. I wanted to, have a career. I dove headfirst into the cesspool that is modern dating. Dating apps, setups from well-meaning friends, random encounters at coffee shops. I tried it all. What follows are the 5 most memorable disasters from my 3-year odyssey through the dating wilderness. Names have been changed to protect the guilty, but otherwise, I swear every word is true. Date number 1. The crypto bro catastrophe. Connor seemed perfect on paper. 31, tall, good job in finance, nice smile, could string together complete sentences in his messages. We matched on Hinge after he commented on a photo of me hiking, saying he loved the outdoors too. We agreed to meet at this trendy new restaurant downtown that had just opened, the kind with $18 cocktails and tiny portions that make you want to hit the drive-thru afterward. I arrived 5 minutes early, anxiety, my old friend, and waited at the bar. 15 minutes after our scheduled meeting time, in walks Connor wearing, I kid you not, a Bitcoin t-shirt under his blazer. Not a subtle logo, mind you. A giant orange Bitcoin symbol with 2 the moon emblazoned across it. I tried not to judge. Maybe it was laundry day. Maybe it was ironic. Maybe. Sorry I'm late, he said, sliding onto the bar stool next to me. I was watching the market. Ethereum is going crazy today. Before I could respond, he launched into a monologue about blockchain technology. I nodded politely, thinking maybe this was just first date nervousness, and he'd eventually ask me something about myself. 20 minutes later, our table was ready, and I still hadn't spoken more than hello and As we sat down, I tried steering the conversation elsewhere. So, Connor, you mentioned you like hiking? Any favorite trails around here? Oh, yeah, he said, perking up. I felt hopeful. There's this great trail where a bunch of us crypto guys meet up once a month to discuss investment strategies while getting some exercise. The server came to take our order. Connor ordered for both of us, without asking what I wanted. Red flag parade officially in progress. So he continued, pulling out his phone. Let me show you my portfolio. For the next 45 minutes, through appetizers and entrees, Connor scrolled through various crypto apps, explaining his investment strategy in excruciating detail. He mentioned something called Puppy Dogecoin, no fewer than 27 times. Yes, I counted. The breaking point came when he asked if I had any investments. I have a 401k through work, I said. He looked at me like I just admitted to collecting Beanie Babies as a retirement plan. That's cute, he said, patting my hand condescendingly. But that's all going to be worthless when the traditional banking system collapses, right? When the check came, Connor studied it carefully, then announced, I don't believe in using fiat currency whenever possible. Do they accept Bitcoin? They did not. Shame, he sighed, reluctantly pulling out a credit card. Every transaction in government currency is just feeding the beast. As we left the restaurant, Connor suggested we continue the conversation at his place, where he could show me his mining rig. I think I need to get home, I said. Early meeting tomorrow. Your loss, he shrugged. By this time next year, I'll probably be a millionaire. Maybe a billionaire if Puppy Dogecoin takes off like I think it will. I checked 6 months later. Puppy Dogecoin had crashed to zero, and Connor's Hinge profile had been updated to include the phrase, looking for a partner to weather the coming economic apocalypse with. Date number 2. The Mama's Boy Mayhem. After the crypto bro disaster, I took a brief hiatus from dating apps. My friend Amber insisted she knew the perfect guy for me. Her boyfriend's cousin who had just moved to the city. According to Amber, Ethan was smart, funny, had a good job as an architect, and was so sweet. Red flag number 1 should have been when Ethan suggested meeting at a restaurant only 3 blocks from his apartment. Red flag number 2 should have been when he texted me 15 minutes before our date, asking if I could pick him up because it might rain later. Nevertheless, I persisted. When I arrived at his building, Ethan was waiting in the lobby. He was cute in a clean-cut way, if a bit shorter than his profile had suggested. He greeted me with an awkward side hug and thanked me for driving. My mom always says it's important to find someone considerate, he said as we walked to my car. At the restaurant, Ethan seemed nervous but charming. He asked questions about my job, my hobbies, and my family. I started to think maybe this wouldn't be so bad after all. Then his phone rang. "Sorry, I have to take this," he said, glancing at the screen. "It's my mom." I nodded, sipping my wine as he answered. "Hi, Mom," he said. "Yes, I'm on the date right now." "Yes, she's pretty." "No, I don't think she's wearing too much makeup." "Mom, I can't ask her that." My eyebrows shot up as I realized I was being discussed and evaluated in real time. "Mom, I have to go," he whispered, turning slightly away from me. "No, I won't forget to ask about her career aspirations and breeding potential." "MOM." He hung up, his face bright red. "Sorry about that," he mumbled. "My mom's just really invested in my dating life." "Did she say breeding potential?" I asked, unable to hide my horror. "She's just old-fashioned," he defended. "She wants grandkids." I decided to give him another chance. Maybe he was embarrassed by his mom's behavior. Maybe this was a one-time thing. It was not. His phone rang again during our appetizer, and again during the main course, and again when we were looking at the dessert menu. Each time, he answered, speaking in hushed tones while I pretended to be fascinated by the restaurant decor. During his 4th call, I excused myself to the restroom and overheard him say, "I don't know, Mom. I think she might be the one, but her shoulders are broader than you said, would be ideal for delivering babies." When I returned to the table, I'd made up my mind to end the evening early, but before I could say anything, Ethan looked up and said, "My mom wants to meet you. She's actually just around the corner having coffee. She could join us for dessert." I blinked. "Your mom is around the corner? Right now?" "Yeah," he said brightly. "She likes to be nearby for my first dates in case they go well, or in case I need an excuse to leave." "Has she been following us all evening?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level. "Not following," he corrected. "Supporting." I took a deep breath. "Ethan, I think you're very nice, but I don't think this is going to work out." His face fell. "Is it because of my mom? She can be a bit much at first, but once she approves of you, she'll back off. And if she doesn't approve?" He laughed nervously. "Well, that's never happened. I've never dated anyone she didn't pre-screen." I signaled for the check as I drove him home, because despite everything, I'm not completely heartless. Ethan's phone rang again. This time, he didn't answer, but the custom ringtone gave it away. "Mom" by Megan Trainor. When I dropped him off, he looked at me hopefully. "Second date Friday?" "Mom already reserved us a table at her favorite restaurant." "I don't think so, Ethan. Good luck out there." As I drove away, I saw a woman emerge from a parked car across the street and hurry toward Ethan. She was carrying what looked suspiciously like a photo of me, with a red X drawn through it. Date number 3. The Instagram influencer incident. After 2 spectacular failures, my roommate Jessica convinced me to try again with Andrew, a friend of a friend who had, and I quote, "really nice abs and his own cold brew coffee company." Since the bar was now officially on the floor, I agreed. Andrew suggested we meet at a new rooftop bar downtown that was, in his words, totally Instagrammable. I should have known then. But hindsight is 20/20ths. I arrived to find Andrew already there, sitting at what was objectively the worst table. crammed in a corner with no view, but had the best lighting. He stood to greet me, and I had to admit, Jessica wasn't wrong about the abs, which were visible through his extremely fitted shirt. "Zoe, great to meet you," he said, air kissing both my cheeks. "Do you mind taking a few pictures of me before we start? The golden hour lighting is just chef's kiss." Before I could respond, he handed me his phone, already open to the camera app, and struck a pose leaning casually against the railing, cocktail in hand, gazing thoughtfully into the distance. "Make sure to get the skyline in the background," he instructed, "and shoot from a low angle. It makes me look taller." I took a few photos, hoping to get this over with quickly. "Great, now let's do some with both of us," he said, waving over a nearby waitress. "Excuse me, would you mind taking some pictures of us?" The waitress, clearly used to this request, took Andrew's phone with a practiced smile. Andrew slid next to me, putting his arm around my waist and pulling me close. "Now let's both look at our drinks and laugh like I just said something hilarious," he instructed. I awkwardly followed along, feeling like an unpaid model for his social media. After about 20 different poses and configurations, Andrew finally thanked the waitress and sat down to review the photos. "These are pretty good," he said, furiously tapping on his phone. "Just need to find the right filter. Do you think Valencia makes my teeth look yellow?" I suggested we order some drinks and actually, talk. This seemed to surprise him. "All right," he said, putting his phone down reluctantly. "So what do you do?" I began telling him about my job in digital marketing, and he seemed genuinely interested. For about 30 seconds. Then his phone pinged. "Sorry," he said, picking it up immediately. "I just posted our photos and I'm getting some engagement." He scrolled through comments, reading a few aloud. "Couple goals. Who's the girl? You two look so cute together." "We just met," I pointed out. "Details." He waved dismissively. "The algorithm loves new relationship content." Our drinks arrived, some elaborate concoctions with smoke and edible flowers, and Andrew immediately stood up. "Wait, don't touch those yet. We need content." He spent the next 10 minutes arranging our drinks, the table, and various props he pulled from his messenger bag, including, I kid you not, a tiny portable ring light, to create the perfect flat lay. By the time we were actually allowed to drink our now warm cocktails, Andrew had posted 3 more times to different platforms. So, I tried again. "Tell me about your coffee company." This launched a 15-minute monologue about Cold Brew Brothers, Andrew's disruptive coffee startup that was, as far as I could tell, just regular cold brew coffee, but in skincare-style droppers for precision caffeine dosing. "We're not just selling coffee," he explained earnestly. "We're selling a lifestyle, a vibe, an aesthetic." When our food arrived, which took another eternity to photograph, Andrew asked the question I'd been dreading. "So, what's your Instagram handle? I want to tag you in these." "I don't really use Instagram much," I admitted. He looked at me like I just told him I lived in a cave and communicated via smoke signals. "What about TikTok? YouTube? You must have Pinterest at least." I shook my head, enjoying his growing horror. "But how do people know what you're doing? Or what you look like? Or where you've been?" "I guess they have to actually talk to me," I said. Andrew seemed genuinely distressed by this concept. He picked up his phone again, this time opening a different app. "Let me help you set up an account right now. We could do a social media makeover series on my channels. My followers would love that transformation content." "I'm good, thanks," I said firmly. The rest of the day consisted of Andrew taking photos of everything we ate and drank, checking his engagement stats, and occasionally remembering I was there. When the check came, he asked if we could split it because, and I quote, "the creator economy is really volatile right now." As we left, Andrew suggested a second date at a super exclusive pop-up food experience that was inviting select influencers. "It would be great couple content," he explained. "We could really build a narrative." "I think I'll pass," I said. He looked genuinely confused. but we got over 300 likes on our first date post. I wished him and his engagement metrics all the best and blocked his number when he texted the next day asking if I'd reconsider for the sake of his content calendar. Date number 4. The fitness fanatic fiasco. After the influencer incident, I decided to take a different approach. Maybe I needed to focus on health and wellness. Someone with good values, discipline, and no electronic devices at the dinner table. Enter Tyler, personal trainer, marathon runner, and self-described nutrition optimization specialist. We met at my gym, where he offered to correct my squat form I hadn't asked, and then suggested we grab something clean after my workout sometime. For our date, Tyler suggested a dining experience at Fuelbox, one of those ultra-healthy restaurants where everything is served in a bowl and costs roughly the same as your monthly Wi-Fi bill. I arrived at Fuelbox to find Tyler already seated, with what appeared to be his own meal in a container in front of him. "Hope you don't mind," he said, gesturing to his Tupperware. "I'm on a very specific macro plan right now, so I meal prep everything, but their alkaline water is exceptional, so I thought we could meet here." "You brought your own food to a restaurant?" I clarified. "Absolutely," he nodded seriously. "I can't trust commercial food preparation. Cross-contamination of legumes is a serious issue in most kitchens." When the server came over, she didn't even seem surprised by Tyler's Tupperware. Apparently, he was a regular. I ordered one of the signature bowls, something with quinoa, kale, and protein that promised to activate my cellular potential, whatever that meant. As we waited for my food, Tyler launched into a detailed explanation of his diet, exercise regimen, and sleep optimization strategy. "I wake up at 4:13 a.m. precisely," he explained. "Not 4:15, not 4:10. Studies show that waking up at 13-minute intervals aligns better with human cortisol rhythms." "Is that scientifically proven?" I asked skeptically. "Not by mainstream science," he scoffed. "They're all in the pocket of big alarm clock." My food arrived, and before I could take a bite, Tyler insisted on examining it. He said, poking at my quinoa with his fork. "This looks like it might be contaminated with simple carbs. And this avocado is probably conventional, not organic. The pesticide load must be through the roof." He pushed the bowl slightly away from me, as if protecting me from poison. "You don't have to eat that. I have extra protein pucks in my gym bag." "Protein pucks?" I repeated. Tyler reached into his bag and pulled out what looked like hockey pucks, made of compressed brown powder. "My own recipe," he said proudly. "Whey isolate, cricket flour, and activated charcoal. They taste like dirt, but they're incredible for your mitochondria." I politely declined and pulled my perfectly fine food back toward me. Throughout the meal, Tyler continued his wellness monologue, touching on everything from the dangers of municipal tap water, it's full of mind control fluoride, to the importance of nasal breathing. Mouth breathers die 15 years earlier on average. When I mentioned having dessert occasionally, he looked at me with genuine concern. "Sugar is basically cocaine," he informed me. "I haven't had a carbohydrate that wasn't attached to fiber in 7 years. Not even fruit." I asked. "Fruit is nature's candy," he said gravely. "I only eat vegetables that grow underground, and occasionally above ground if they're bitter." When I finished my meal, Tyler checked his fitness tracker. "We have exactly 27 minutes before my evening mobility routine," he announced. "Would you like to go for a brisk walk to aid digestion?" I maintain a 4.2 miles per hour pace. I declined, claiming I had plans later. "That's probably for the best," he said. "You seem nice, but your breathing is very inefficient. You're only using about 60% of your lung capacity based on your chest movements." As we were leaving, Tyler handed me a small Ziploc bag. "What's this?" I asked. "Activated charcoal tablets," he said. "For the toxins in that meal. Take 2 now and 2 before bed." I thanked him, dumped the charcoal tablets in the first trash can I passed, and treated myself to an ice cream cone on the way home. My mitochondria seemed just fine with the decision. Date number 5. the true crime enthusiast terror. After 4 spectacular dating disasters, I decided to take a break. A few months went by, and I focused on work, friends, and my newly adopted cat, Pixel. But then my cousin's wedding was approaching, and the thought of attending solo, again, while fielding questions from well-meaning relatives about my love life, pushed me back into the dating pool. This time, I decided to be more selective. I carefully vetted profiles, had preliminary video chats, and thought I'd found a promising prospect in Derek, a soft-spoken librarian who loved classic films and had a dry sense of humor that made me laugh during our video call. For our first date, Derek suggested an activity rather than dinner, an escape room downtown that had good reviews. I thought this showed creativity, a chance to see how we worked together solving puzzles. Plus, there would be other people around, which felt safer for a first meeting. I arrived at Escape Artist, a converted warehouse with different themed rooms. Derek was waiting outside, holding 2 coffees. Points for thoughtfulness. I got you a latte, he said. You mentioned you liked them during our call. More points for listening. The escape room we booked was called the Detective's Office, a 1940s noir-themed mystery where we had to solve a murder case to escape. It seemed perfect, challenging but not scary, with a fun vintage aesthetic. As we waited for our time slot, Derek asked about my week and seemed genuinely interested in my answers. No cryptocurrency, no obsessive mothers, no Instagram, no protein pucks. I started to feel hopeful. When we entered the escape room with 4 other participants, 2 couples, things started well. Derek was clever and collaborative, finding clues I missed and building on my ideas. We worked surprisingly well together, and I found myself enjoying his company. About halfway through the experience, we discovered a hidden room designed to look like a crime scene. A mannequin body was outlined in tape on the floor, with various clues scattered around it. That's when Derek changed. "Ah," he said, his voice dropping an octave as he surveyed the scene. "This is completely unrealistic. It's just a game," I reminded him. No, he continued, now addressing the entire group. "If this were an actual crime scene, the blood spatter pattern would be entirely different. Based on the entry wound positioning, the arterial spray would project at approximately a 47-degree angle, not whatever this is." The other participants exchanged uncomfortable glances. "Also," Derek continued, crouching by the mannequin, "rigor mortis would have set in by now, meaning the body position would be more rigid, particularly in the extremities. Maybe we should focus on finding the next clue," I suggested gently. Derek nodded, but as we continued the game, he kept stopping to critique the forensic accuracy of the scenario. He used terms like decomposition rate, lividity, and insect activity timeline with disturbing frequency and enthusiasm. When one of the other participants found a prop knife, Derek launched into a detailed explanation of the difference between stabbing and slashing wounds, and how you could tell which type of blade was used by the tissue damage pattern. "I've studied hundreds of crime scene photos," he explained proudly when I asked how he knew all this. "I have a collection of books on forensic science. It's fascinating how much the human body reveals after death." By the time we escaped the room, with 2 minutes to spare despite Derek's forensic tangents, the other 2 couples practically sprinted for the exit. Outside, Derek seemed energized by the experience. "That was fun, although pretty basic from a criminology standpoint," he said. "Hey, would you like to get dinner? There's a great restaurant nearby that used to be a morgue. They kept some of the original features." I made an excuse about not feeling well, which wasn't entirely a lie. My appetite had mysteriously disappeared. "Another time then," he said cheerfully. "Maybe we could watch some documentaries? I have an extensive collection of unsolved case files. The photos are pretty graphic, but you seem like you can handle it." As I was about to call an Uber, Derek's phone rang. He checked it and frowned. "Sorry, I need to take this." "It's work." I nodded, stepping away to give him privacy, but I could still hear his side of the conversation. "Yes, I can come in." "No, The decomposition isn't too advanced. Yes, I'll bring my kit. No, it doesn't ruin my plans. I'm just on a date. I froze. What job would involve decomposition and a kit? When he hung up, I asked as casually as possible, "Everything okay at the library?" Derek looked confused. Library? Oh, right. I left that job months ago. I'm a mortuary assistant now. Forensic specialty. He smiled at me like this was perfectly normal information to have omitted from all our previous conversations. You work with dead bodies? Professionally? I clarified. Isn't it perfect? He beamed. I get to apply all my knowledge of true crime in a hands-on environment. Why didn't you mention this career change before? He shrugged. People get weird about it. They hear mortuary, and suddenly they're making excuses to leave. He paused, studying my face. You're not freaked out, are you? Because I can tell you, the human body after death is really just a fascinating puzzle of, my Uber's here, I announced, though I hadn't even opened the app yet. As I hurried away, Derek called after me. I'll text you. I'm getting a fascinating case tomorrow. Suspected poisoning. The discoloration patterns should be really educational. I blocked his number before I'd even reached the corner. The unexpected twist. After my 5 spectacular dating disasters, I was done. Finished. I deleted all the apps, told friends to stop setting me up, and embrace being single. I adopted a second cat, Bitmap, Pixel's new brother, started taking pottery classes, and generally enjoyed my Derek-free, Connor-free, Andrew-free, Tyler-free, Ethan-free existence. 6 months into my dating detox, my laptop died a spectacular death. Spilled tea, crackling noises, smoke, the works. With a major presentation due the next day, I rushed to the nearest electronics store in a panic. That's where I met Jamie. Not on an app, not through friends, but in the real world, the old-fashioned way. He was the tech support person who not only recovered my presentation from my waterlogged laptop, but stayed an hour after his shift ended to make sure everything was properly backed up. Data loss is traumatic, he explained when I thanked him profusely. No one should have to go through that alone. He wasn't my usual type, whatever that was. He wore glasses, had a quiet demeanor, and his t-shirt featured a pun about binary code that I didn't understand but found endearing anyway. When he finished rescuing my digital life, I impulsively asked if I could buy him coffee as a thank you. He suggested the cafe across the street, and we ended up talking for 3 hours. Jamie was normal, refreshingly, wonderfully normal. He asked questions and listened to the answers. He talked about his job without making it his entire personality. He mentioned his mother exactly 0 times. His phone stayed in his pocket. He ate a chocolate muffin without commenting on its glycemic index. And he didn't once bring up blood spatter patterns or decomposition rates. When he asked for my number, I hesitated, my PTSD from previous dating experiences flaring up. I should warn you, I said. I have really bad luck with dating. Me too, he admitted with a smile. My last date showed up with a binder full of wedding venue options and asked which months I was available next year. I laughed, feeling some of my guardedness slip away. Okay, you win. We started texting that night. Normal texts about movies and books and work, not cryptocurrency investment opportunities or protein supplement recommendations. We went on a proper date that weekend, where no one took photos of the food or called their mother, or critiqued the forensic accuracy of anything. 3 months later, when Jamie suggested we become exclusive, I found myself saying yes without hesitation. 6 months in, when he confessed he was thinking of starting his own IT security consulting business, I helped him build a website. A year later, when we moved in together, our biggest argument was about whose couch to keep. We compromised. His couch, my coffee table. Now, 2 years after meeting, as I write this post, Jamie is in the kitchen making his famous pasta carbonara, pausing occasionally to toss toy mice for Pixel and Bitmap. He doesn't know I'm writing this, documenting my journey through the dating wilderness that eventually led me to him. What I've learned from my 5 dating disasters is not what I expected. I used to think the moral of the story would be about recognizing red flags or knowing what I didn't want. And yes, those lessons are valuable. But the real lesson was simpler. Sometimes the right person just feels easy. Not boring easy or settling easy, but like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. Like coming home after a day of dealing with the world and finally being able to be yourself. Jamie isn't perfect. He snores. He's pathologically incapable of putting dishes in the dishwasher, and he has strong opinions about Star Trek that I find both baffling and charming. But he's perfect in all the ways that matter. He sees me, really sees me, and likes what he sees. And I see him too. So if you're out there navigating the dating wilderness, dealing with your own parade of crypto bros and true crime enthusiasts, hang in there. Be picky. Trust your instincts. And remember that sometimes the best relationships don't start with fireworks or drama or elaborate Instagram-worthy scenarios. Sometimes they start with a broken laptop, a kind gesture, and a conversation that you don't want to end. Oh, and Jamie just looked over my shoulder. And read the title of this post. 5 Dating Disasters, he asked. Do I know about all of these? I told him he's about to learn everything. As long as I'm not disaster number 6, he said. Not a chance. The end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more incredible content.